So today we're going to talk about Hims and Hers because it was one of the stocks I got asked a lot of questions about yesterday, including Walgreens. So I'll do another video on Walgreens in a day or two and talk about what is going on with Walgreens. But Hims and Hers is a stock I got asked a lot of questions about because the stock is having a bit of, well, I was going to say it's having a bad time, but saying that the stock is still up 100 and something % year to date. But in the last kind of couple of days, it's been going down a little bit. I think it's down like 20%. But also, there was a short seller report on top of it, which I think is why a few people have been asking a few questions and my thoughts on it. So today, for all you guys, I wanted a video on Hims and Hers and the short seller attack that's going on out there at the moment. I hope this video is good enough for you guys. Let's get started. So yesterday, Hims had a bit of a tough day, down 7%. But the last kind of couple of days, really, I mean, I'm doing this on, look at the graph, and I'm doing this on this graph. But it is down 20%, which is officially a crash. So I guess you could say Hims and Hers is having a crash at the moment, down 20%. However, the big thing is when you look at like the zoomed out picture, I mean, the last 6 months, it's still up 124%. This year to date, it's up 107%. Yeah, it's still up a lot, which is the key thing. And I think a lot of people are zooming at this little bit, and then you zoom out and then you go, oh, well, actually, it's still doing really well. And it, obviously for me, it's the second largest position, and it's a stock that's done really well for me. I think I'm up 200 and something % even with the pullback that's going on recently. So it's been a really good performer for me. But I think a few people are getting a little bit worried about the little drop that it's on at the moment, and also the short seller report. Now, for us guys that have been Hims and Hers shareholders, at the end of the day, we're finally getting some rewards, aren't we? You know, the stock has performed amazing, and anyone that's been in this stock like the last kind of 2-3 years, you know, we've been sat on this one and going, oh, you know, these financials have been amazing, but we're not getting the reward in the share price. But we are now, and once again, the financials just continue to improve, and if these financials continue to improve, we will continue to get rewarded on the share price. I mean, you only have to go to the last quarter, and it was another smashing quarter, mega EPS beat, mega revenue beat, absolutely amazing growth, as you can see here. And the big thing with Hims and Hers is like the valuation was just so low. I mean, at one point we were trading like 1.6 times sales for a company that is profitable and growing revenue at good rates. It just doesn't make sense, and now we're finally getting the reward on it. And my first thing that I'll say is, like, don't get caught up into the short term. You know, with Hims and Hers, you know, the big thing is to be looking at the financials. That's the main thing, and just take a little bit of a chill out. You know, take a little bit of a chill out and go, look, we've been on a good run. 107% return year to date is nothing small. That's absolutely fantastic. You know, you don't get too greedy. You know, the big thing is, like, you know, if you look at in the last month alone, we were up over 100%. From the 7th of May to the 18th of June, we were up 100% alone in a month. Like, it's not, there's a point where it goes, it's great, but it's not normal for a stock to go up that much. You know, I think Nvidia's kind of, everyone thinks they've looked at Nvidia now and go, oh yeah, it makes sense for a stock to go up that much. It doesn't. You know, if any of you guys have been through 2021, you'll know the reality check of that stocks cannot go up in a straight line, or they have a big pullback. And unfortunately for Hims and Hers is that, yeah, it's gone up a lot, but it's going to have a pullback when it's gone up that much. It will have that reality check, and that reality check is going on. And I think this is very healthy for the stock. I root for the stock to go down at the moment. I think it would be very healthy for it to go down. And I think the only people that are a little bit like, maybe a little bit annoyed by that is those that have never seen an unhealthy market before, and maybe those that didn't take a little bit of profit off the table. I'll let you guys know is that a couple of days ago, I actually did trim my Hims and Hers position by 2%. You guys on the Patreon, obviously, you guys know that I took a bit of profit out of Hims and Hers. I can't remember how much it was. I think it was like 280% return. I obviously still own a big stake in the company, but I looked at that jump, you know, 100% in a month, and I went, I'm just going to take a little bit of profit off the table here. Nothing major. I still want to have a big position for the future, but I thought a 2% trim on that amount of profit was definitely a good move. So yeah, I think that if you didn't realise that, I don't really know what to say to you. But why is the stock rallying up that much at the moment? Well, a lot of it goes off this GLP-1 injection. So this got announced on May the 20th, and kind of the pinpoint of why the stock has kind of rallied up so much is that everyone's got excited about this. I've got to say, I don't know if people have just got a little bit too excited around this news. Like, yeah, it's great. I think when we look at the numbers at the moment, I think the numbers will come in a lot stronger than what analysts are projecting for the next quarter. Obviously 0.04 in the EPS and revenue growth of 45%. I think we might see a little bit of surprise on the upside going forward because of this new news, and it will be great for the financials. I expect a good beat, and I expect the stock to react positively off that. But this isn't a big thing really for Hims and Hers. It's not something, the GLP-1 injections are obviously being allowed at the moment because there's that much demand that other companies are allowed to provide them, and Hims and Hers are one of those that are allowed to provide them. In the longer term, this will not be a long-term contributor and exist as a long-term contributor for Hims and Hers. Once the supply chain is resolved, it will be more of the Hims and Hers products that they have, a lot of the other weight loss products they have, that will be the key drivers for them. You know, this isn't going to be in the long-term revenue stream for Hims and Hers. And you know, it'd be great on the short-term numbers, but it won't be something major in the long term. And I can understand why the share price is rallying in the short term, but this is not something to plan for the long term. And that's why when you look at this run here, when it was getting to $23, $24, I was thinking, this is just going up way too much off something that's a short-term catalyst. If it was a long-term catalyst, I'd be like, this is great, but it's not. And that's when the obvious signs were coming in. Like, I personally think that you should have been trimming your position during that time frame, and that's what I did, obviously, as you guys know, on the Patreon. So I think this is a very healthy pullback with some news that was good news, but I think the stock got a little bit too carried away on this. But you know, in the short term, it should be good for the financials, but I won't base your long-term theory of Hims and Hers off this last month. The key thing is, over the longer term, watching the financials going up for sure. So that's just a little bit of commentary around short-term price movements, trimming, selling, financials, and the GLP-1, which has been getting a lot of attention at the moment, my thoughts on that situation. But obviously the other thing that made it, I think, push people to be like, oh, make a video about it today, with the news that happened yesterday, was around the drop today, the drop that happened yesterday, and the short seller report that came out. So Hunter Brook Capital, which I've never heard of them guys, which is a sign that you should probably straight away go, I don't know how legit this is, brought out a short report. Now, I've gone through many short reports since I've been investing. I'd say I'm on 3 figures of reading short reports, and I actually got to the point with most of them where I actually don't read them nowadays. The reason why I actually don't read them is because they're just hit pieces. In my opinion, short reports should be banned from the market unless you're from a neutral point of view. If you're from a neutral point of view as an investor, I think there's a little bit more credibility in here. But what you do is you read all these short reports, and what they'll have somewhere on the short report is, Hunter Brook Capital has disclosed a short position in Hims stock. So, you know, they're financially benefiting from them. It financially benefits them to make lies up about the company. And the lies that they will make up about the company are untruthful lies. They will go to extents of posting false information about a company to try and damage their reputation to make money. And it shouldn't be allowed. And it is allowed, and it shouldn't happen. And the fact that they're doing it just for their financial benefit, they're just hit pieces. And most of the time, there's nothing legit in there. And this one today was another example. I mean, I've not gone into the research, but I just looked at the headline, what it was based on. And the headline here was it went against the accessibility of the GLP-1 weight loss drugs. And I think one part was about the prescriptions or the access to it. Now, like I said before, this isn't a big issue because this isn't going to be a long-term revenue stream for Hims and Hers, so it shouldn't be considered as a big issue for Hims and Hers. And the thing is this isn't Hims and Hers. This is the whole regulation on the market. This is not a Hims and Hers situation. This is something that generally goes on with the whole regulation on the market. So this isn't anything to do with Hims and Hers. You've got to go to the is it the FDA, FCA? I can't remember what regulator it is for it. There's the regulator for this health space anyway. You know, that's their issue to deal with. If they think, you know, if they feel like they should be, you know, managing the situation better, you write the hit piece on them. You don't do it about a company that's selling it. At the end of the day, it's absolutely crazy. It shouldn't be allowed. And you know, this issue here is not a Hims issue. It's the actual selling of it all completely, that every company that sells it completely, the only thing they've done for it is to target Hims and Hers, and they look at Hims and Hers and go, you know what, this stock could be a little bit stretched now at the valuation. You know, it's a stock that's gone up over 100% in the last month. This is a good time to maybe, you know, then valuation's gone a little bit extended. Maybe this is a good time to put a hit piece on it, and that's what they've done. They're going to make money, and yeah, I find it disgusting. There's no other way I can describe it. This shouldn't be allowed. It is allowed, and once again we have another short report that basically has, you know, information put on it that isn't really relative to Hims and Hers. And you know, if it was something serious about them, you know, frauding the numbers, that would be a lot more legit. So I personally just ignore it. And ultimately, the two takeaways I have with Hims and Hers is that I think the stock's just gone up a little bit too quick, too fast, and it's having a healthy pullback, and long may that continue, because if the stock stayed flat for the next 6 months, I'd be happy with that. You know, I'd take my 107% return this year, and I'd wait until next year and just let those financials carry on improving. And then once those those financials keep on improving, you know, if you keep growing at 45%, and then we get another, you know, let's say they do another 40% or whatever in 2025, eventually that share price will then start reflecting it, and then the stock will go up even more and more, and you know, you'll absolutely smash it. You know, so yeah, there's just a lot of noise at the moment. What I'd say is ignore the noise, look at the fundamentals, look at the progress that's being made. That's the key thing. And you know, for me, I've been in a big habit where I end up like looking at my stocks every single day and seeing what's going up and making YouTube videos on it. And it's just a lot of pressure. And in the last like couple of weeks, you probably noticed yourself, like, there's a fewer things going on and a fewer thoughts in my head. But one of the things that I am considering is that you know, when you're a long-term investor, you don't get caught up in all this day-to-day business. You know, you look at the long term, and that's the main thing. The long term, and you know, financially they're moving in the right direction, and then you'll be rewarded, and you don't have to check everything every day and listen to every little, oh, this is going on now, this is going on now. You don't need to do it. And I've really enjoyed that in the last couple of weeks, is that I've kind of took a step back from managing every investment daily. Don't get me wrong, there's still a few things that I kind of check out, and I still get sent, you know, a ton of links through Discord or through like Instagram, like, oh, have you seen this about so and so? And I do check them out. But that's the key thing when you're long-term investor, is, you know, you don't get caught up on this like load of noise that happens in the short term. Focus on the long term. And if you've been doing that with Hims, you've had the success, and that's what you carry on doing, is you focus on the long term, and that's where the success is anyway. So that's Hims and Hers, guys. Like I said, I'll try to do a video on Walgreens either tomorrow or the day after, for you guys, about Walgreens anyway. But yeah, ignore the noise, guys. See you in a bit.